kind of set the ball in motion by saying you thought it might be a good idea to abolish the 13th Amendment, which abolished slavery and involuntary servitude with the exception of prisons. So it's a very important statement that a lot of people don't understand. So help clarify why you decided to say it.
Okay, so what I'm gonna read to you something that my friend GLC from Chicago wrote for me because he puts a lot of energy into understanding historical facts. So it put in 1865, and what I want to say is abolish, abolish was the wrong language. I misspoke by saying abolish. Amend is the right language. And what's awesome, I don't say dope because there's power in words. So lovely. What's beautiful about our Constitution is we can amend it, right? So in 1865, the 13th Amendment stated that no man is destined to slavery or involuntary servitude unless convicted of a crime. This translates to, in order to make a freed man a slave, all you have to do is convict them of a crime.
So, in other words, what you're saying is they carve out prison for involuntary servitude, and you could use prison as a pretext to bring involuntary servitude back. Is that what you're saying?
Well, it has. You know, there's people getting paid 8 cents a week working for companies, you know, that are privately owned. And, you know, a lot of them are first-time offenders. A lot of them are nonviolent crimes. And then also we deal with, you know, we're not dealing with the mental health and the therapy, because I'm gonna say that, you know, I stand on the majority of people that are in prison are there due to a reaction to a situation that they're in, a reaction to not having understanding of how to create industry because their dad didn't have a business, so they didn't know how to make money, or not having access to currently legalized forms of industry. Also being brainwashed to, you know, feel like they're taking a side, red or blue, a gang side of this. This is my block, a block that they don't even own, taking a side. And then that gets promoted in the music, and then the music is not even owned by the people that are saying these things. And then the next thing you know, you get all these, you get people in jail. You have over 2 million. There should be a group of super knowledgeable people that have, that come from all cultures, that then make the amendments on our Constitution. I didn't say modern, I didn't say new, because that notes a specific time, when time is used to control us and control our energy. So there needs to be people who look like the people who are being spoke about.
Hello everyone, it's me, Demetra K, and I'm sitting here with Donovan throwing rocks and hiding his hands to deep. And this is our edition of Don't Believe the Hype, where we ask you to go beneath the surface, do your own deep dive analysis of the things that you heard in the media and so on and so forth. I'm not saying not to trust things, but say, you know what, it sounds good. However, let me see if I can find out if something is different or if there's, you know, more to the story. And so that's what we do here on Don't Believe the Hype. And so to me, this is a perfect subject for this show, Don't Believe the Hype. Well, I'll get started. So Kanye West, now known as Ye, he changed his name to Ye,
that white woman has got him messed up. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
All right. So he has found himself in the spotlight again for speaking on the subject of slavery again. All right. In a tweet a few days ago, he said the following: "This represents good and America becoming whole again. We will no longer outsource to other countries. We build factories here in America and create jobs. We will provide jobs for all who are free from prisons as we abolish the 13th Amendment." Okay, so if you want to take a while to try to dissect most of what he said, it is kind of confusing, but the thing that got people in an uproar was the last part of it. Now, most of us who are fairly knowledgeable knows that the 13th Amendment abolished the institution of slavery. The 13th Amendment to the Constitution abolished slavery and involuntary servitude except as punishment for crime. And so that's what the 13th Amendment says. Okay, we're getting rid of slavery. But you guys bear with us a second. We got some sort of a truck outside the studio, so that's trash man.
Trash man.
The trash man always wants to come when we're, knee deep in some real good stuff here. So we'll give it a second to pass so that you guys can hear my notes, because I don't want you guys to miss anything that I have to say here. All right, I think he's on his way. All right, and so again, as we know, the 13th Amendment abolishes slavery and saying, okay, it's over. The institution of slavery is no more, except for, okay, as punishment for a crime. So what does that mean? Okay, let's go on. So it would seem that Kanye was saying that we need to reinstate slavery, for lack of better words, right? If you're going to abolish the 13th Amendment, it means, okay, well, let's bring slavery back. That's what you would think he was saying. Okay, now which is why everyone was up in arms about his tweet. And it's understandable, especially since he's been on his own personal campaign tour for Donald Trump by ranting about him, being a good president and all this other stuff.
They must have paid him a lot of money.
Well, we don't know. And him wearing the MAGA rather, Make America Great Again hat. He's been seen, have you seen it on the thumbnail on YouTube? He's been wearing his Make America Great Again hat in support of Trump and the Republicans. In fact, while on SNL Saturday Night Live, he said that the cast tried to bully him into taking the hat off, but he refused and wore it anyway. And on his TMZ interview, he told Harvey Levin, people try to bully you into doing things you don't want to do. And so he said it was reminiscent of him back in the day when he was in Chicago, gang members coming up to you wanting to snatch your hat off and telling you what to do. And so he was vehement about, I will not be bullied. I'm going to wear this hat. You can't tell me what to wear, is what he said. All right? Now, D.L. Hughley, the radio host and comedian, was very upset at Kanye and what he had to say and about his love for Trump. He's basically saying, for lack of better words, Kanye is ill-informed. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He should just be quiet and, basically stop supporting Trump and all this other stuff. Okay, so that's understandable, like I said. However, Kanye went on to clarify his statements. He later tweeted, not abolish, but let's amend. So not abolish, which get rid of, but to amend, to change, to fix, to do something other than, right? This is what he said. He also said the 13th Amendment is slavery in disguise, meaning it never ended. We are the solution that heals, quote unquote, okay? Now, Kanye also went on TMZ with Harvey Levin, as I said earlier, to further explain his statements. He basically said that the 13th Amendment needs to be amended to address the portion that says, except as punishment for a crime, as we said earlier. Now,
I know where you're going with this now.
Kanye said that prison is the new slavery because, quote unquote, all you have to do is make a freed man a slave, is convict him of a crime. And that prisoners are very underpaid, and he says getting like 8 cents a week for working for private companies, which we know many prisons have become privatized, and investors are able to make money off the, I almost said slave labor, but that's what it is, the labor of prisoners, okay? And so he also said, made a point by saying that most prisoners are in prison due to bad circumstances and preconditioned situations, meaning that a lot of, let's just take it to the black neighborhoods, if you will, or any impoverished neighborhood. We know that there are a lack of jobs and just a lot of situations that cause people, and I want to say cause, I don't want to say there's reasons to commit crimes, but you get it, because where there's no jobs, people aren't going to starve. Jobs bring money, and so if you don't have any money, you can't eat and do other things, and so people tend to do things to survive. Whether we agree with it or not, that's just the truth, and so that's what he was saying. All right, now in closing, he read from a pre-prepared statement from a friend of his. Now, I want to say this before I finish. I really love that Khalid, that's my nephew's name, that Kanye, or Ye, has learned from his previous mistakes in that he's just not speaking about things he doesn't know about. Because in the interview, he was going to speak on some other stuff, and there was people behind him that I guess maybe said to him, okay, maybe don't speak on that just yet. And he said that I can't speak on that just yet. Well, actually, he asked, why can't I speak on it? And they said, well, kind of, sort of, you don't have enough information. And he says, okay. But I love that he prepared a statement and didn't just come off ill-informed like he did last time when, you know, the whole world handed him his MAGA hat. Because what did he say? Slavery was a choice is what he said. And so he brought a little bit more knowledge with him. So I can respect him for that. Now, Michelle Alexander, an educator and author, wrote a masterpiece called The New Jim Crow Era that addressed the 13th Amendment and all the things that Kanye talked about. For example, the convict leasing program that was used in the Jim Crow era after slavery to imprison free black people, mostly free black men, for the benefit of companies outside of prisons. And so for those of you guys who don't know what the convict leasing program was, kind of still is in 2018, but what it was specifically is that in Jim Crow, we know all these laws were made, vagrancy laws and things like that. Oh, you stared at a white woman too long law. And so you got locked up. And so while you were locked up, you had all these other charges that were added on to you. And so you stayed in prison longer than you were supposed to over nonsense in the first place. And so then you had these companies that was like, yo, well, we need labor because remember, slavery was over.
Right.
We need labor. How about, and I can't remember the guy who invented the convict leasing program, but we'll lease out these inmates to businesses, railroad companies, and other stuff, and they'll work for us instead of being in prison. They'll work for us. Well, it was said that the convict leasing program was in some ways more brutal than slavery because a lot of those men didn't live past 35, no
36,
longer than 40,
right?
Because of the brutality. They starved to death, were beaten to death, worked to death more than anything. So it was a horrible institution, this convict leasing program. And the crazy part about it is the guy, and his name slips from my mind, the guy that made this program ended up committing some fraud, business fraud, and he ends up going to prison. But because the brutality of prison was too much for him, he ended up, I want to say he killed himself. He killed himself because he didn't want to face what he had been doing to other people. And so I'll get back to my notes. I just want to give you guys a little history on the convict leasing program. Now, the Netflix documentary 13th by Ava DuVernay addressed the very same issues that Kanye talked about. She talked about the 13th Amendment and that it was, you know, yeah, slavery was abolished back then, but we are still in some sort of slavery because of the prison complex and what it means to black people. There are more black people in prison in the United States than ever, than anywhere. And the numbers have grown from the time of Jim Crow, through your presidencies of Reagan, especially under Clinton when he implemented the 3 strikes law, and his wife, to whom, you know, a lot of black people love to say we're with her. She was very instrumental in that, even though she wasn't president, but she came up with the super predator term in talking about our black boys and saying that they need to be made to heal because of the violence and things like that that they were doing with her ill-informed self.
And yet our black women have signed on to that.
Right. Well, I mean, black men too. There's a lot of black men that you can't say anything to about Hillary because they'll be mad.
John Lewis.
All of them. But you know, and so
Martin Luther King.
right. And so y'all want to know my opinion? I know you don't, but I'll give it to you
But
anyway.
this is an opinion-based show, so please give it to him.
I do believe that Kanye misspoke when he said abolish instead of amend. I really do believe that because I'm like, anybody with a half a brain that God gave a cricket would not be rallying for slavery to be abolished because that means that we are going back into slavery. You picking cotton, you probably be in the field.
No. I'm exempt. I was in the military.
I doubt it. Okay. I'm just saying,
I'm already brainwashed.
we both was going to be in the field if we abolished slavery. Okay, so I don't think he meant to abolish. I really do believe he meant to amend. And so I ask of thee,
us.
where was the lie in what Kanye said?
What do you mean, where was the lie? I think he meant it.
You think he meant it?
I think he meant it.
Why is
because
that?
The truth, he's getting paid millions of dollars to go around and deceive us. I mean, he's not the first. He was not the first brother to sell out. You got Jesse. You got, I can name them all.
Okay, let's just go from that angle. Let's just say, because a lot of people have said too that Kanye he's getting ready to drop another album. I'm like, damn, how many albums is he gonna drop? Did he drop like 19 2 months ago? But okay, I don't know. So I guess he's supposed to be dropping this earth-shattering album that he's going over to Africa and making all this
It's kind
other
of hard
stuff.
when you become irrelevant. There comes a time in an artist's life
But
where you don't
is
sell.
Kanye irrelevant though? Kanye is on. It is said that he is worth and his companies all together over $1 billion.
That's what they say. But
That's what Forbes has said.
do you buy any of his records?
I don't. I don't buy records at all, to be honest. I mean, I'm just that way. I go on YouTube and download the stuff to my MP3.
Right.
I mean, that's just, I cannot keep it real.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
I don't know anybody of my friends that follow him.
Well,
but he's a different generation.
I like Kanye. I like especially a lot of his his older stuff, his original stuff.
Yeah,
I
but
do
ever
like.
since his mama died, the guy has been off his rocker.
That's what people say, but I know somebody who knows him personally and said that he was already off his rocker.
Right.
He was already having
And
issues.
it seems like anybody that's attached to this Kardashian family, Jenner family, they get destroyed.
That's
or something
the other
happens.
argument. That's the other argument is that, Kanye is not who he used to be before he got into this family of she-devils.
You know, the funny thing, my mom, when I was growing up, me and my brother, my mom would always talk about girls. Your mom trying to talk to your son. She would say, that cuckoo will make you go crazy. And I didn't, she's referring to women and what they do. So, she must have some cuckoo that makes you go cocoa puffs.
I mean, but it was said too that even before he got with her, when she was married and he was with other people, that he had always had a thing for her. He wanted to be with her from the first time that he saw her, so he always was obsessed with Kim Kardashian, and for whatever reason they ended up getting together, and the rest is history.
Ho or no ho, I'm gonna have her.
Right, well, I mean, that's what they say, and so, but did Kanye misspeak? I think he did. Because I think it's easy for us, I don't want to say who us is, but just in general, I think it's easy for society, the public, to jump on somebody when they're having a bad time, a bad day. And I'm not saying Kanye didn't deserve the dog piling he got, especially in regards to slavery being a choice. He said he misspoke then. Maybe he did. I think more than anything, Kanye is speaking out of not being educated. Because I believe Kanye is smart. I just don't believe he's well versed, and it sounds like he's becoming that way now about slavery and things like that.
Now, I'm all for everybody supporting who you want to support and stuff, but I don't think dealing with this Trump thing. And I'm not saying I'm not a Trump supporter, but not because I'm not a Democrat. So it's not
Are
that.
you sure?
I'm positive.
I smell Democrat on you.
Hillary is the problem that why America is in what we're in today. And this is why the Democratic Party is so fucked up, is because you did not listen to the very voters you're supposed to be serving. We did not want her. The Republicans were frothing at the mouth to run against Hillary because they knew they can beat her. This is why we're in a situation where I blame the Democrats, whatever. So I'm not mad at him for supporting who he wants to support.
Me either.
However, this is a very unpopular guy. He's a very unscrupulous guy. So I have to call into question morally and character-wise, why would you support a man that believes in grab him by the pussy and all this other misogynistic things that he does?
And I wholeheartedly agree with you on that. And I don't have a dog in the fight of Trump or any of that kind of stuff. I just try to, I'm versed on politics, but I just try to stay out of it because it's like the chips are going to fall where they may, regardless of how we feel about it. But I think Kanye, and I'm not trying to speak for Kanye because it's hard to tell what's in his mind, but I think the point that Kanye is trying to make is, and he said this a lot, in that black people automatically feel like we need to be Democrats.
Right.
And so he's
wrong.
saying me supporting Trump is I'm jumping off of that narrative that because I'm black, I need to be a Democrat. I'm saying that I should have free choice, and I agree with that.
But you fucked up on that choice that you
right. And he said, and he tried to, and I could tell just when he was talking that he tried to get a little bit of knowledge, but he was asking, when did black people become Democrats? He's had a hard time kind of articulating it, but I get where he was saying, and so he was trying to say, I know what he said. As a matter of fact, it comes to my remembrance now. He was saying that black people became Democrats because Democrats give us free stuff.
Exactly.
Welfare and stuff like that.
But
Harvey Levin, who doesn't sound like he's a Trump supporter, he pushed back, and I think he made a good point. He says, I think you're wrong in characterizing the black community in that all black people are they're the only reason why they're Democrats is because they get free stuff. Because to say that is to say that black people are freeloaders and we want handouts, and that's not true for all of us.
That's not true for all of us, but a good portion of us, yes.
Because statistically speaking, we know that it's not predominantly black people on welfare. Hell, when welfare first came out, back in the FDR's era, we couldn't get
right. We couldn't get it.
We couldn't get
we
welfare.
Were the last.
It wasn't for us.
Right.
Now, to Kanye's point, FDR and the Democrats used that as bait to get us to vote because whether people believe it or not, and that's where the misconception is, we could vote. But the problem was where the civil rights movement came into play is because we were being suppressed, and so we have the voters' rights things. Mm-hmm. We could always vote, but of course, like I said, it was a lot of intimidation and stuff, and so primarily we were Republicans. FDR wasn't messing with black people, and his wife was like, you know what? We need to not be that way. We need to treat black people more kindly, and she, for whatever reason, won him over, and whoever, I'm sure of his cabinet, was like, yo, we need these black people's votes.
And you also remember...
which is how he became president.
Right, and you also got to remember with that mentality...
Not to wag my finger at
y'all. The mentality of that thinking, when it really like, aha, that makes sense. Guess who they just decided that's going to fight their wars for them? Black people.
Right.
Black and brown people. The majority of your fighters in Vietnam were black and brown people.
And I would say this because I know you spent a copious amount of time in the military, and thank you for your service, as you've heard a million other times, and you should hear it a million more before you die.
All right.
But I think people need to be a little bit more educated in regards to black people, or as you say, people of color in the military, because we know that during the Jim Crow era, especially, a lot of black veterans that came back from fighting for America were lynched. Right. A lot of them lynched in their uniforms. Yep. And specifically black soldiers were lynched because the KKK and white supremacy and those who believe said there's no way we want these niggas, not my words, theirs, we want these niggas to come back here and think that they all that, or think more of themselves than they ought to think that they are in the same ranks with white men. And so this is our way of bringing them down a peg or two by murdering them wholesale while wearing their uniforms. And so, to your point, it's predominantly black and brown people going to war, but yet I wonder if they truly knew the historical context and what it was going to cost them, or what it cost our ancestors. Would they be signing up to the rate that they're signing up?
Right. Well, the thing is, they're not signing up because they are patriotic. I don't believe anybody.
Well, why did you sign up?
Okay, well, here's the thing, and you know my history. I was born into the military,
right?
So it's all my life. From the time that I was on a military base, from when I can remember.
And your whole family.
My whole family. So
it's military.
So for me, I joined because, I wanted other opportunities, but here the only thing was there was the base, or sitting around doing absolutely nothing. And I wasn't. I was sitting on the quad at RCC and we weren't going anywhere.
Eventually, I went somewhere. Okay.
Right. So I joined the military for me.
Right.
But a lot of people, because if you go back to the Jim Crow era and even farther, the 1920s, even when Negroes were outright starving, your only option to get out of your situation was the military. And in the Vietnam era, a lot of the black and the brown guys that went over to the fight, they didn't want, like Trump, they would have loved to got 5-6 deferments. But it was either go to jail or join the military.
But where did some of those brothers come from that in the Vietnam War?
That ended the Vietnam War?
Yeah, I mean, during the Vietnam War, where did those brothers come from? A lot of them.
South.
But not the South, but prison or jail.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's the option they were given.
Right.
Go fight.
Correct.
Or go to jail.
Well, I'm saying even some that were in jail.
That's what I'm saying.
What do they call that thing?
Yeah, it was the same thing.
Yeah, I can't remember what they called it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right.
Yeah, it's like, hey,
I'll go.
Right. So, these were the only options presented to you. So when you're in a situation where it's like you're sitting here shitting on the pot, there's no opportunity in this town. That's why I always say Louisiana, the town that I come from. Until Walmart came in there, black people didn't really have a lot of opportunities.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, everything was owned by the white folks, and and if you didn't work for Miss Sarah down the street,
Miss Sarah,
what
did Miss Sarah do?
Yeah, she was a homemaker, but
you wash it off and iron it.
You're domestic. You come in there as a domestic
yes.
and stuff like that.
Yes.
So, and then like I said, my grandfather, even though he served in World War II on my dad's side, He had to take odd jobs wherever he could find. This man had 22 children.
Yeah, he was working. Got him
He
working
was,
there.
yeah. I mean, he was a grave digger, a ditch digger, or whatever you call. I mean, he did everything he could to support his family, which he did.
22 kids.
22 kids.
Sharon.
Same mother, same father. My mom is the oldest of 12 on that side, but you know, my grandfather on that side, he was he worked for Wonder Bread.
Damn.
You know, so he was a delivery guy, so he did well for himself. But I'm just saying,
Right.
these small towns, until Walmart came in there, and Walmart didn't come in there until like the late 90s.
Right.
So your only option was to get out of there was to join the military.
I mean, yeah, so, I mean, I get it. I'm not saying I don't get it, but I'm just saying I think a lot of people, if they knew the history,
Right.
and, you know, and then the other argument, too, is, you know, to your other point, well, it's what are you going to do? You're going to sit around here and do nothing, or are you going to go to the military, perhaps make something out of yourself? But in utopia, black utopia, I guess, if you will, if we, you know, did things like we used to, like during Black Wall Street, had our own companies and businesses and stuff, there'd be more people
But,
to so we'd say, you know what, well, my family has a factory, this, that, and the other, I don't need to go to war, I stay in the family and work.
you know, and this is my personal opinion, I really think when the white people were waking up and we were waking up, and this baby boomer generation was, you know, doing this, and they did a lot of revolutionary things, but they also did a lot of revolutionary fucked up things.
Wow.
It totally changed our, you know, like I said, giving us stuff. I mean, I really think the civil rights movement really destroyed the black community.
Well, who do you really think was at the helm of that?
Well,
We weren't in control of that.
Yeah. But you know, but what I'm saying is, before the Democrats started giving us stuff, we had our own black doctors, we had our own black mechanics, we had our own communities, like he's been saying.
Well, I can't remember what I was watching. Something I was watching earlier, but they made a good point. I was Kanye, as a matter of fact. Not to quote Kanye, but he made a good point in saying that under the Democratic Party and civil rights and all those other things, it was more or less like, I'll give you some money for your man.
Exactly.
Get your man out the house, sister. And we'll give you some money. We'll give you housing, food, medical.
And just like recently you saw with that weave shop, I could choke you out, whatever. What was, them sisters were lined up the next day. So under that same perimeter, get rid of your man. What did the black women do?
Right, but this is my other pushback to that, and I'm not, because I know that's what happened. I know that's what happened, but I just try to put myself in the shoes of those women, especially back then. I'm thinking, and it's just me thinking, because I understand there's a whole lot of stuff that led up to that.
Yeah,
but if I had a man in a home that was making more, I don't know what welfare was back then, $200 a month.
Yeah, maybe $200
if he was making more than $200 a month, he had a good job and all this other stuff, why on earth would I get rid of him over that?
Because I want to be independent. I'm with the Now movement.
Right.
I bought it. Miss Sarah, whose daughter Cindy, that I'm best friends with since we were children, she's oppressed. We are all oppressed as women. So I'm gonna back my best friend. And guess what? Your best friend freed herself from her white mate and left you right behind.
No, she ain't free. Now, see, that's another thing too. Cause I agree with you up until that point.
Okay.
I think a lot of black women fell for a hook, line, and sinker. What was her name? Cindy, Sarah?
Cindy.
She ain't freed herself from her man.
No, she still kept her man.
Right,
Yeah,
she went, listen, don't ever get it twisted. She went home to her dude after all, like, I'm burning my bra.
Right.
And I'm, sisterhood. Okay, you know what, you guys, I gotta be home because Jim is gonna be looking for that green bean casserole.
Right.
So I did.
73% of white women are married or have been married.
So you answer your own question.
No,
did the white woman leave her man like black women did?
No, she didn't.
But what's the percentage of black women who ain't married?
That aren't married?
Yes.
70 something. It's like a split.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how is it that in 2018, y'all, who I may be speaking to, how is it that we don't connect the dots? And I'll be honest with you guys, I suck in math. My math, like sucking math, is an understatement. My math is horrible. Okay. Terrible. So how can we not see the correlation that 70% roughly of women, black women, are not married, but you got
never been married,
but you got 73% or so of white women who are married, but you got white women who are leading the women's lib movement. Is there something off? How do we? I like to do the math as you know the NOI says. My dad, who was NOI, Nation of Islam, for you guys don't know what that is. Their motto or moniker is do the math. Numbers don't lie.
Follow the money.
Logic and reasoning does not lie. And so if we're saying, you know, just kind of piggybacking off of Kanye's point, your point, that, you know, black women should be, you know, the women's live, and I'm not saying we shouldn't be fighting for women's rights. I think women should have
women
rights.
should have equal rights.
But the fact that we fell for the narrative, I need to leave my man because he ain't no good, and 70% of black women are not married, never been married, but 70-something% of white women are married. So who was the joke really on?
Exactly.
Because white men was probably like, all right, Betty, take your ass in the streets and hoorah, hoorah, do all that stuff you gonna do, but you better have your ass back here and have some dinner on the table
11.
and have your house clean.
By 11.
Right, you know what I'm saying? I'll let you get a little bit of rope, but don't ever get the game effed up.
Right. And that's the thing. And I know there's going to be a lot of sisters out there that are going to come for me and say
so
blah,
what?
blah, 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 right?
So what?
But like you said, the numbers don't lie. You can say all you want to say. The numbers don't lie.
The numbers don't lie. I mean,
and especially this generation now. When has it become acceptable to have multiple children by multiple men? And we're not the only ones that do it. That ain't what I'm saying. I'm saying for women as
let's
a whole.
do the numbers.
Okay.
Let's do the numbers. That's what they say. I listen to NPR when they do stock market.
Yeah, let's do the numbers.
Okay. The government is saying, Betty, Boom Quisha, whoever, you know, all the kids you want, you can have, we'll pay for them.
That's what they used to say. They don't say that no
more. Well,
they
don't give you, they give you a certain amount of money, cap it off, but hell, we gonna give you $600, $700, $800 in food stamps.
Right.
You housing?
Yep.
Sure. Okay, by the income that you're making, you pay $50 to $200 a month. I mean, what would stop you from doing that? What would stop you from having kids? If
integrity and pride.
Okay, but that obviously a lot of women who are on that system, not saying a lot of women don't see it that way. Like I talk about this girl all the time who was a friend of mine on Facebook who brags about it. She's not even 30. Brags she has 3 kids by different dudes. And I'm not putting her business out there. She puts it out there herself on her page. 3 kids, different dudes, and continuously bragging about being on the system. She just got her housing, and so she's waiting for the 80s babies to get up off it so she can get in it. It's like, well, how long you plan on staying in? Like, what do you? Because this is like, what do we say? Welfare is to help you get off your feet,
not to stay on your ass.
Not to stay on your ass. So what's your exit plan? Do you got a plan, or you just planning to be like them 80s babies? You gonna just keep popping them out, having them, and then, you know, because at the end of the day, me and you pay for that.
Right. And I'm not saying if that's what you choose to do with your life, more power to you. But what happened to the women that held these men accountable to support their children?
Well, first of all, you got to make sure that man is willing to be held accountable before you lay down with him and have children.
Are you aware Al has 3 children?
I'm aware of that, okay?
Yeah.
And I'm aware that man take care of his kids too.
I just want to make sure.
Right. And I'm also aware that my factory is shut down, so we ain't gonna worry about having no kids, okay? The factory is out of business, defunct, okay? And so I think you have to ask those questions before you lay down with a man, because you hear, like I got into a little tit for tat on Facebook with these dudes. The meme said this. It was a picture of a black woman, and she had 5 kids behind her. And it was speaking from the man's point of view. She asked me to buy her kids, Halloween's coming up. She asked me to buy her kids Halloween costumes. And I told her no because we just effing. Am I wrong for that? A lot of people say, well, I said you are wrong for that. But he's wrong for that. However, she's wrong for laying down with a lackluster foster who reveres her that way and her children. Why would you bed a man that feels that way about you? Now, is he obligated to do it? Some will argue yes, some will argue no. But I feel like if you a man worth your weight, and you laying down with this woman, she's giving you something that's supposed to be precious. Damn, you can't buy her kids, and you at least one. And listen, I can't buy all of them one,
it's a
but I buy
deal.
some of them.
Yeah, it's a package deal.
Yeah, so you know, a lot of the men came on my comment thread saying that, you know, well, what about these women, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, if you heard my comment, I said that she's at fault too for not testing this man to see if he's worthy of even being around her children. And I said, the other problem is, y'all men who getting on here talking about why she got to do that, they just acting and this, that. Y'all men are the ones that teaches y'all sons it's okay not to be responsible with women you lay down with. How about telling your son, don't lay down with a woman you wouldn't want to be responsible for in the long run, God forbid, or blessings or whatever. She did get pregnant. Or she does have children. You see she got children before you get in the bed with her most of the time. That's something you need to say to yourself, wow, if I lay down with this woman, am I going to be taking on all these responsibilities? And is she aware that we're just screwing?
Right.
And why would you want to be with a woman who's already got 5 kids that just want to screw you?
Well, my mother always said that just shows she's experienced.
That's 5 kids?
Yeah,
all right, but
kids,
then you need to pay for this experience,
right,
boo.
Right, exactly.
Don't get mad when I ask you for something.
Yeah, it's funny because, my kids are grown. My youngest son and his mom were in the military together, whatever. I hadn't talked to her in a month. And so I call her, my son's a big LeBron fan, so we were talking about LeBron, so I called my son and said, hey, you watching the game? He's like, yeah. So I said, hey, I got off the phone with him and I go, hey, I'm going to call your mom real quick.
Right.
He's like, oh, yeah, whatever, mom's at home, she should be at home, blah, blah, blah. So I call her up. I talked to her in a month. And I said, there's no need for me to talk to her. I don't have to talk to her ever in life again if I don't want to, but we don't have that kind of relationship.
Right,
because, yeah, she's one of my best friends. You don't have to talk to your best friend every day. Right. They're living their life, doing what they got to do. So we were sitting there talking, and I called her. She goes, what's going on? So I said, hey, I'm just checking on you. Because we're going to be linked together forever. Just seeing how you're doing.
Y'all going to be at the weddings, the graduation.
Right, the graduation. I got, hey, I'm just checking on you, see how you doing, how's your dad, anything like that, whatever the deal is. But we have gotten away from the civil, not discourse, what's the opposite of discourse? The civil... it's like we break up with our significant other, and it's like, oh, to hell with her, and
just civility.
Yeah, the civility
toward each other.
Of whatever. Now, even if I don't like this woman, this is the mother of my children.
Right.
I should hold her up in respect and whatever.
Well, can you say that for the people in the back, the dudes in the back?
For you brothers in the back.
I mean, I'm just saying because I get what you're saying because I can already hear somebody now, well, I got to respect her and this, that, and the other, she don't do this and she don't do that. I can hear that, but to your point, guys, somebody's got to give.
Right.
So I'm not saying give into no nonsense because I know there's a lot of women out there that do a lot of nonsense with the child support. Listen, I'd be lying if I said that never happens. It does. But to your point, for the sake of the child, no matter how old the child is, somebody's going to have to, because my mama told me exactly what you said. When me and my daughter's father was, when she was first born and we didn't stay together, unfortunately, we were going through it. I want to have her more. No, I want to have her more. My mom said to me, she says, you know what? Regardless of how long you have her, visit with her, and how long he visits with her, that's always going to be your child.
Right.
And she's going to be both of y'all child until one of y'all die or whatever the case is. So y'all might as well find a way to get along.
Right. A median.
And when she said that to me, it made sense. I'm like, what am I fighting this dude for?
Right.
Because when you fight, you ruin your child by doing it.
Exactly. Now, he's a grown man. I have a good relationship with her.
Right.
And I don't have to talk to her, but I do. Just to check up, because I don't want to see her down the road and be like, oh, I haven't seen you in months. We don't know what's going on in each other's life.
But what does that say to your child when you ain't speaking to his mama?
How you're supposed to treat women, number one.
Exactly.
And how you're supposed to handle your business, even if your business has concluded physically with that woman.
Right. It don't mean you got to be immature and stupid. Hell, we made a child, we didn't stay together. That don't mean I don't have to. I have to be mean to you or stupid to you. Hey, how you doing? This, that, and the other.
How's the family?
And if you get a significant other, please. I say this to people all the time. Make sure your significant other that is not the child's mom or dad, make sure they're on board with that, because you never want to hear your significant other, well, why are you talking to her?
Right.
Why you got to be there? She asking you for this. What's wrong with her? Well, she's got my child, and if she needs a light bill paid, I'm gonna do that because that means my child ain't gonna be in the dark.
Right.
Do you mind?
Right, but like I said, my child's 20. He's an older man, but that doesn't stop me still from touching base with her and letting her know, hey, I'm okay. I'm over here. When I was traveling, I sent her a postcard to let her know, because we have that in common. We can still be friends, but the thing is, we've gotten to a point in the world to where it's like, in our community, I'm gonna kill him! I'm gonna be around! Oh, hell no! And a good example, the Bobby Brown story. Why is it that his version is Sissy didn't want him at the funeral. You know, they made that impression.
They made Bobby out to. I didn't see the movie, but I know reversed with Bobby Brown and Whitney and all of that. They made him out to be the bad guy. You know what? One thing, and I was telling this to Al. I said one thing I really love about Bobby Brown. Yeah, he done a lot of bad things in his life, but one thing I really love is that he didn't come out and say what he could have said. You know what? Whitney was doing drugs before we met. It wasn't me. He said, you know what? I'll take the blame. If it means you guys not tarnishing the mother of my child's image or the image you have of Whitney, I'll take the blame.
But she's making all the money.
Well, not only that, I'm not saying as a man, but I'll let y'all have it. If y'all believe
I'll take that burden.
Exactly. And he didn't come out with his version 2 years after she passed. And so, I mean, any other person would have been like, nah, she was a crackhead when we met. She introduced me to the crack. Right. But he didn't do that.
Right. You gotta give him some respect. But what and that's one of the problems in our community. Our women and some of our men have bought in to the now movement and all these distractions to where we can't get together. In our next segment, we're going to be talking about a situation in it's the DA of Portsmouth, Virginia, and it kind of ties into what we're talking here. And it's people are going to have different opinions.
This is where the real showdown gonna go down.
Yeah, it's gonna go down. Right, exactly. Okay. Remember, I am the Duke of Edinburgh.
When we come back, we're gonna have a boxing ring right here.
Right, exactly. But
Duke of my ass.
But what I'm saying is, in our community, the civility has left the building.
Oh, absolutely.
And it doesn't make any sense to me.
Well, it's left the building in a lot of aspects. Just with different people who have platforms, who are trying to uplift black people. I mean, we just can't. If it's not our way, it's the highway. It's just like, at some point in time, we have to say to ourselves before we say to one another, we got to get along with each other.
Right.
I got to get along with myself first, and that's having knowledge of self and knowing who I am. Because if I don't know who I am, it's hard for me to get along with you because I'm trying to impose my ignorance on you.
Mm-hmm. You know, and back to the Kanye thing, a lot of people will say, F Kanye because he married this woman who isn't black and all this other stuff, and he's bought into the Trump thing. Now, I don't believe that for one bit, but there is something wrong with her cuckoo because guys that get with her just get destroyed. I mean, all the sisters.
That hocus pocus.
Yeah, I mean, that bank house.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's something going on there where we're just, but a lot of people will discount what he's saying because of.
Yeah, I mean, and I want to. How much time we got on here? Okay, and I want to touch upon this. Phil from the Advice Show is under a lot of scrutiny right now because a lot of people are discovering, if you will, that his wife is not black. Black. She's, from what he's saying.
No, I'm not black. I'm black and German.
Okay. I almost said the N word, but okay. I almost say N word, please.
Right.
So they're discounting that they're saying she's not black, and he's saying, well, she's not white. He did this whole little DNA thing on his page showing that
he did that.
I don't know why he did it because she is fairly light, like my Al.
But it doesn't matter.
I know, but there's some people that if you're not the color of this table or the top of this pen,
you ain't down for the cause.
Black.
Right.
And so I'm not trying to argue Phil's case. Yeah, his wife, she appears to be white. He did the DNA, says that she's Indian and more Spanish and all this other stuff. All right, whatever. But my thing is, y'all Negroes will, because there's a lot of people saying, well, he's taking our money, he's doing this, and he's getting over on the black community. I'm like, y'all the same Negroes that help in giving 97% of $1.3 trillion away of our money to everybody else but black people. But y'all mad talking about Phil getting over? At least Phil is giving us something that we can use.
Like what?
Knowledge, information, stuff that we
think about.
Turn on Fox News. Now I'm getting ghetto. Turn on Fox News and see if they gonna be talking about any of the stuff that you hear on the Advice Show. I'll wait.
I stopped watching the Advice Show. I started watching Know the Ledge.
Know the Ledge. I like Know the Ledge too. He's not a comedic spin on giving us the stuff we ain't gonna see on Fox News, NBC, ABC, CBS. We ain't gonna see that on there, but we see that on, and I get it because Phil has almost 1 million followers, and so I believe a lot of these dudes and some of these women are agents sent by the man, I could be wrong, but I doubt it, to take him down, because the last thing the oppressor wants for black people to be is knowledgeable of self and unified, and just like dominoes, we all fall in to the narrative.
In the tailpipe.
So I say to you guys, when are you gonna hold the oppressor accountable for getting over on you to the tune of almost all of your $1.3 trillion? When are you gonna do that? Why do we always gotta crack the whip harder on our people than we do ourselves? Answer those questions in the next video.
And I want you guys to keep that attitude. That's gonna carry over to the next video, because she's gonna come with that same narrative. But we're not. Yes, but we're not going to do that, because this is why we're not going to do what you're saying we're going to do, because it's. Did you see the trailer for the Atlanta Housewives? So and so is Portia's engaged now to a guy that and he has he calls himself a serial entrepreneur. Her engagement ring is worth $750,000, and then so and so Cynthia Bailey's got a new man, and he thinks that she's the one. And you want me to keep going on with that?
I'm trying to figure out what that got to do with the price of tea in China.
That's my point. We are so.
I don't know. That everybody was like, I don't know who the hell you talking about.
Everybody can tell you. Everybody can tell you about all of that foolishness, but cannot tell you about what Kanye meant to say or saying. That political thing, and why he's supporting Trump. They can't tell you about why the food stamps are being cut. They can't tell you why the Democrats lost in the last election. They can't even tell you why they really hate Trump.
Right. Or why y'all messing with Phil from the Advice Show.
Exactly. That's my whole point right
now. Y'all need to get over yourselves, honestly. I mean, to me it's sickening, but it's like y'all was never down for the cause anyway. Out of all the things that this man could be talking about, he's talking about black unity. So what if he was married to Kermit the goddamn Frog? What are you doing other than being agent-like and tearing this man down? What are you doing?
A lot of us out there are dealing with other people's man. We don't even have our own man.
Now, see, you doing too much now.
Sorry. Okay, I'm just saying. But yet you gonna come on this man and judge him for who he loves. I don't give a damn who he's laid up with.
And half of y'all got 4 women on the block that you ain't faithful to none of them.
And everybody knows that brother that has 4 women on the block, got kids by everybody, and yet you lining up to lay with this man.
And fighting over him. We'll be back.
We'll be back.
Actually, blacks weren't always Democrats. It's like the plan they did to take the fathers out the home and promote welfare. Does anybody know about that? That's a Democratic plan. Now you got a situation where we need to have a dialogue and not a diatribe. Because if you want something to change, it's not going to change by saying, fuck that person. Try love. You see, they laughing at me. You heard them, they scream at me. They bully me. They bullied me backstage. They said, don't go out there with that hat on. They bullied me backstage. They bully me. And then they say, I'm in a sunken place. You want to see the sunken place? Okay. I'm gonna listen to y'all now. Or I'm gonna put my Superman cape on. You can't tell me what to do. Some days I'm not gonna please everybody. Don't have true, just naked minds. This ain't what they had in mind, but maybe someday. Follow your heart and stop following your mind. That's how we're controlled. That's how we're programmed. If you want the world to move forward, try love. Thank y'all for giving me this platform. I know some of y'all don't agree, but y'all be going at that man neck a lot, and I don't think it's actually that helpful. I think the universe has balance. 90% of news are liberal. 90% of TV, LA, New York, writers, rappers, musicians. So it's easy to make it seem like it's so one-sided. And I felt kind of free. I thought this country said I could be me. I love me too. And I love y'all too, so bring the band back. Bring the band back. Did you feel